Let me guess. Monday, you're on point. Training, nutrition, sleep and stress management, Tupperware boxes filled with nice, cute little meal preps. Everything is locked in and good to go. You get into bed on time, you're waking up early. You might even be doing some journaling or meditation or even ice baths or cold plunges. Everything is exactly where you want it. But then comes Thursday evening and you've had a row with your boss at work, and then Friday, your missus is on your back to order a takeaway and share a bottle of wine, and before you know it, you're knee deep into Haagen-Dazs and regret just to repeat the cycle the next Monday. You're getting nowhere, you're spinning your wheels, and it is costing you so much mental bandwidth not being able to break the cycle, even though you desperately want to look better when it comes to your physique. You are stuck and nothing has changed. In this video, I'm going to tell you why this cycle carries on repeating itself, why so many of you and myself back in the day were stuck in this cycle of self-sabotage and not moving anywhere despite your best efforts, but ultimately what we can actually do to break the pattern, break the cycle, all while still enjoying weekends, family meals, socials, client dinners, and whatever else that you feel is throwing you off track right now. Boom, yes team, what is happening? My name is Sharif Lawton. If you are new to me and my content, hello. I run a coaching company called 23 Lean, where yes, we focus on the 1 hour of the day in which you're in the gym in terms of your training, but also the other 23 hours of the day, which really move the needle with the way it comes to you looking and feeling your very best. So sleep and stress management, what to do with weekends in particular. This video, what we're talking about today, alcohol, mindset, all the things in which you are going to need to cultivate a fantastic physique in a way which complements your busy life as a parent, CEO, exec, entrepreneur, rather than just someone who can listen to these 20-year-olds on social media about double a day sessions and just grind harder, bro, because that's not your world. They don't understand it. And ultimately, you need something with legs and longevity in it so you can actually sustain the results in which you're after, rather than just getting in shape for like 4 weeks out of the year for your summer holiday, just to put it right back on again the minute you hit the airport lounge. And whilst yes, I work with a lot of CEOs, execs and high flyers and what have you, a lot of the time they're just busy mums and dads who have got to say yes to socials and who do like a bottle of wine in order to wind down. And actually their weekend does look very different to their weekday, but because they haven't actually got a plan which works for them in a way whereby the weekends aren't sabotaging their goals while still being able to have fun, freedom and flexibility with food, then we're just in this horrible cycle of trying really hard Monday through to Thursday, spinning your wheels, letting the weekend be an absolute car crash and just to start over again on Monday. And it becomes exhausting. And oftentimes it's the very reason or the very cycle why people just stop trying. And then they say things like, well, maybe it's not on the cards for me, or this fitness thing is too hard, or it's taking up too much time, or it's just not sustainable. And the reality is you can have a fantastic body, bulletproof health, amazing confidence with a thriving social life, which is what I'm all about and what my clients enjoy inside 23 Lean. And I want to show you exactly how we get there so you can install some of the systems which I give my clients to break this cycle once and for all. Because if we're super straight about things, right now you do not have a fat loss problem. Are you seriously telling me that you don't know that you should be getting around 8 to 10K steps per day? Are you really telling me that you shouldn't be eating about a gram of protein per pound of body weight, or just having more protein in your meals anyway? Are you really telling me that you don't know that you should be hitting the gym between 2 to 3 times a week and progressively overloading? You've heard all of that before, and it's not the case that it's wrong advice, but we have to look at the gap as to why you're not actually doing so, because more information never got anyone anywhere. And this is so true now in the world of ChatGPT and Claude and AI and free meal plans and templates, which you can find on social media. But then why are we still struggling with the same things? Well, it is because you are following the wrong advice, or you don't have the accountability and support from someone who actually understands your world in order to be able to implement and get the job done. So the reality is, it's not like you don't know what to do, but you need a way, a system, a framework, a structure which allows you to actually implement it in the very days, weeks, and just moments where life is chaotic. I'm not talking about when life is great and you've got nothing really planned on the weekend and you can stick to your meal plan maybe and you can train really hard, because that's easy. But what about when the kids are off sick? What about when life demands that you get that deadline in on time and your boss is on your back? Or what about when there's no nice food in the fridge, which is going to be in line with your goals, and that Deliveroo button becomes even more tempting? That is when you need the frameworks which are going to allow you to succeed in spite of you feeling real stressed out, or in the very moments where it's more likely that you're not going to follow through. And first and foremost, I want to let you know that I have been in this very cycle myself, and I know firsthand just how frustrating it was. For those of you that, again, don't know me and my backstory, back in the day, I used to be that traditional one-to-one personal trainer, and my days were typically Monday through to Saturday. I was pretty back-to-back, and from Saturday, that was really the quote-unquote end of my week. And I remember on a Saturday at around 12, 1 o'clock, when I've been, up since 6 and I've just got done with my clients, absolutely exhausted, I would, before I'd come home, swing by M&S. And for those of you that are not in the UK, M&S is a slightly more upmarket but very tasty food hall, essentially. So you buy all your groceries and shopping from there. Anyway, for those of you that know about M&S Bakery, you know what I'm talking about. Their bakery section is absolutely unbelievable. Fresh pastries, cookies, goods. Man, I'm getting hungry thinking about it right now. But anyway, I would always pick up dinner on the way home and tell myself that, like, oh, cool, I deserve one of those cookies, or I deserve a sweet treat from the bakery. And often what would happen is that would be the very thing to leave me to justify the rest of the weekend being an absolute binge and a shit show. So rather than just maybe a cookie to treat myself at the end of a hard week's worth of work, what I'd end up doing is having all 5 and then thinking in my head, well, I've blown it now anyway, so I may as well say yes to the takeaway and the bottle of wine and the Haagen-Dazs, and well, that's kind of screwed things up. So on Sunday, let's just go ahead and have a big Sunday roast and I'll be perfect on Monday, you better watch out for me. When the reality was, and the biggest light bulb moment which I'm going to give you with this video, is the minute you can start thinking about stopping making your good days perfect and making your bad days less shit, now you're going to be onto an absolute winner, because your good days are already good. They're moving the needle for you. But if every single time that we let a small slip up turn into an absolute mountain or molehill, that is the very thing which is causing you to lose progress again and again and again. Just getting back on track on Monday, stepping on the scales, you see a heavier weigh in, you're pissed off, and you're just spinning your wheels, getting nowhere fast. And honestly, it wasn't until I realized, number one, what was actually going on, but number two, how to solve it, and within these specific frameworks, which I'm going to give you in this video, that things really started to improve for me. So if we look at what's actually going on and the events which typically lead to the complete blowouts on the weekend, typically they are coming from over restriction during the week, really making sure that you see those scale weight drops. And yes, they are very dopamine inducing when you see the scale move down, but oftentimes in order to do so at the time frame in which you want, which is daily, let's be honest, you're doing things like cardio every single day, plus the 10K steps, plus eating low calories, plus eating super clean and saying no to all processed foods and what have you. And you're not giving any thought about, can I see myself doing this in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5? And you're just thinking about winning the day. And hey, that's all good, because typically humans can put themselves in the box or the hole or the cage for X amount of time, but sooner or later, the wheels are going to fall off. And there's only so much hunger, restriction, and misery in which you're going to put up with before you start thinking, actually, life is pretty dull like this, and I want to feel good. What makes you feel good? Dopamine inducing foods, cookies, cakes, ice cream, pizza, and then bosh, we're back into that same cycle. So a lot of the time when we pull back the kind of metaphorical spring or elastic band and we kind of fling it, it just hits you on the arse harder the other way. So it's not the sexy answer, but if we have something which is more manageable and sustainable, and actually you can see yourself doing in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, we've now got more legs to the game. We've got more consistency. Whereas if you can just white knuckle and, the plan really needs you to grit your teeth for X amount of time, again, you can do that, but it's got a shelf life. And last time I checked, you wanted to be in shape for life rather than just a couple of weeks out of the year. So remember, the more internal pressure you build with yourself by trying to make things perfect, the more that pressure needs a release. And that release often happens on the weekends, leading to you getting nowhere. Now, the second thing that we do as humans is we turn the weekends into a little bit of a reward. Well, I've been good all week and I've hit all my training sessions and I've eaten super clean. So now I deserve that free meal or that cheap meal or that bottle of wine and what have you. And the more we start to tell ourselves these stories and the more we listen to people who potentially aren't in our world or don't understand our mission and vision, the more that these sorts of narratives become so acceptable to us. And yeah, one won't hurt and what have you. When the reality is your body has no real rhyme, reason or rationale to get you jacked and tan. It doesn't want that from you, okay? It hasn't evolved evolved as much as you would have liked to think, so that lean tissue is quite an expensive commodity to have. And the body would much rather hold on to some fat stores for future rather than rid it all of its fat and keep that muscle tissue, which again is metabolically active and quite expensive for the body to have. And therefore, for you to gain muscle tissue or just keep it and lose body fat, we have to do things very purposely and potently, because if we didn't, and if we could just stumble across fat loss and looking amazing, well, everyone walking down the street would look like a 10 out of 10, and they absolutely don't, and people struggle with this. And so if we are only sending fat loss signals to the body on some days a week, then you tell me what happens at the rest of the day, whereby we're in this massive surplus. We literally end up nowhere on Monday, and that's what I see time and time again. So do not use the weekend as a reward, or do not reward yourself with food. You're not a pet dog, and realize that actually the weekend accounts for between 40 and 60% of your week, depending on when you start pressing the effort button. And you need to have those days locked in, because your brain and your body doesn't care that it's Saturday versus Monday. Thermodynamics and calories in versus calories out works every single day, whether you like it or not. The next problem we have is the fact that we've got no structure, but yet Monday through to Thursday, everything's locked in and planned. You know when you're eating, you know when your carbs are going to be, and your fats and your proteins and your calories, and everything's in nice little neat Tupperware boxes. But all of a sudden, we're waking up a bit later on Saturday. Do I fancy a croissant today, and maybe some pancakes? And the whole day has no structure. Am I training? Am I not? All of these things make decisions when it comes to food that much harder, because your willpower is at rock bottom, and we've only got a certain number or a certain amount of willpower which we can basically have or execute on per X amount of time. And so if your weekends are completely lacking structure, do not be surprised if you're reaching for random shit and you're just being very reactive when it comes to food versus proactive. Now, am I saying that your Monday should look exactly like your Saturday and there should be no wiggle room, freedom and flexibility? No, absolutely not. But what I am saying is that don't be surprised if you can't stick to the plan over the weekend, if there is no damn plan to stick to. And then the biggest one for me, the very thing which I fell into back in the day, was the whole restarting every single Monday. So basically thinking that, well, it doesn't really matter how bad I'm being right now or how far I'm falling off track, because Monday, I'm going to be perfect. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about just a minute ago. So it's not about making your good days perfect. It's about making your bad days less shit, and realizing that, okay, cool. If I've eaten a couple of cookies off plan, well, that's 3, 4, maybe 500 calories tops above and beyond what I should have eaten. That's not enough to cause, even a pound of fat gain. However, the mindset of I've messed it up now, and therefore I'm gonna have that takeaway bottle of wine, Haagen-Dazs roast dinner, etc., etc. Now that's a big problem, because we are inhaling way more calories than we need, and we're in this massive surplus, which is, again, that frustrating scenario. Now, here is the shift and the systems which most people miss, and I'm going to give you the keys to the kingdom right now, because fat loss doesn't come from perfect days. It comes from being good enough consistently and racking up those days relentlessly in order to keep on chipping away at the goal until you get there. Because what is the point in being perfect Monday through to Friday or Thursday night if the next 2, 3, 4 days are an absolute shit show? Again, at best, you're just ending up at maintenance, so you're not really getting anywhere, or at worst, you're actually in more of a surplus than you would like to be, and therefore gaining weight, even though we've got all the negative connotations of being in a deficit or being on a diet. So you really want to move in this direction, but you keep on pulling yourself there because there's no plan, there's no structure. Consistently good beats occasionally perfect every single time, and the way we do that is not by gritting our teeth with more discipline, but it's actually by managing our environments. Let me explain. Now, the first environmental factor or system or framework in which we give our clients is the life-aligned blueprint. So that is thinking about, okay, a lot of coaches will talk about non-negotiables when it comes to what they expect you to do in order to reach the goal. And it might be a step count, or it might be a certain number of grams of protein, or it might be a certain number of calories, or a certain number of training days, whatever it may be. And that's all well and good. However, you're going to have some other things in your life which are non-negotiables. It could be a dinner out with the missus or the partner. It could be dinner with your kid, or a takeaway or some pizza, whatever it may be, some way, shape or form which you actually like to unwind. And the minute we can actually put that in the plan initially and account for that and actually move around that, versus being like, okay, cool, we don't have time for this, or that's not part of the plan, or we can't do that, the more that it's actually going to have legs and longevity, because you look forward to what it is that you're now doing. You look forward to those bright spots and those moments where you can feel normal. So a lot of the time, the hiccups and the roadblocks in which we face with our fitness and fat loss journey and with our weekends, It's not a case of like you didn't know they were going to happen. It's just a case of we never planned for it. So again, if you always enjoy pizza with your kids every single Saturday and it's part of the way in which you enjoy and have some downtime and have some fun, well, hold on, rather than say we can't do that anymore, how can we include that in the plan in a way in which still moves you forward with your goals, but now you're ticking both boxes? Yes to the fitness and physique side of stuff, but also yes to the social and the family side of stuff. Because the minute we can do that, the minute that you feel like, yeah, you're enjoying the plan and everyone's winning. Next, we have a little look at the freedom within framework. So again, what parts of your days or what parts of your weeks need to basically be there in order to say yes to your social life, and what can we potentially do around that event to protect it? So what I'm saying is, if you know that you're going to someone's house and they're going to be cooking for you and offering you wine and dessert and what have you, there's not really anything you can do about that, because bringing your own Tupperware meals and what have you is not very sensible or very socially acceptable. Then okay, cool. What do we need to do around that to create that freedom so you can have more flexibility later? For example, if we understand that X amount of calories per day moves you forward towards your fat loss goals, well, guess what? We're going to pull back during the day to create more of a buffer in the evening and still make sure you don't go in there absolutely famished, but that when you do, overall during the day calorically, or overall during the week calorically, you're where you need to be. And so if we put those things in place, such as having a lighter breakfast and lunch and leaving more calories for dinner, or maybe ramping up expenditure or cardio on that day to again give you a bit more of a buffer, we're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then what you will find is that the work in which you put in, the extra bit of work, allows you more freedom and flexibility to go ahead and enjoy that extra meal or that extra bit of dessert or that bit of wine or whatever it may be. So we give you the structure to have freedom later on and flexibility with just some things we put in place before, maybe during and after the event, to make sure that it doesn't actually damage progress. And it's a game changer for my clients. Take someone like Dippin, for example. He loves to go out. He goes out multiple times per week. And when I say he goes out, it's not a case of he's drinking water on nights out. This guy loves a beer or 10 and potentially even some wine as well. And he's in fantastic shape. We've dropped 25 kilos of pure body fat. His health markers look absolutely incredible right now. And like I say, this is still part of the plan for him. So you really don't have to bin off the fun things in life if you have certain frameworks intact. And then lastly, if we consider that part of the reason why fat loss is so difficult, it is because you can't just eat one healthy meal, go to the gym once, do a few steps, and all of a sudden get your dream physique. It is predicated on what you're doing with your next meal and your next meal and your next meal, and that relentless consistency. And we know that come 4 p.m. on a Thursday, when you'd really rather not stick to your next healthy meal or food and willpower's at rock bottom, that's when things start to really go wrong. Well, essentially, if we design your environment so that the easy option, the option in which you actually want to take, which is going to move you forward towards your goals, is easy, obvious, and something in which you can do, you're going to have so much more power over your decision making when it comes to those foods. And here's what I mean. Let's say you're super stressed out at work, but yet instead of having the biscuits and the cakes and the cookies right in front of you, and again, you're using a bunch of willpower not to have that, we've got a fridge full of protein yogurts and you've got a fruit basket and maybe some low calorie drinks. You're going to reach for them rather than having an environment which is designed to basically make you fall off track, and you again have to use so much willpower and discipline not to have those things, because again, it's a finite resource. And if we get to Thursday and you're just feeling like an absolute shit show from all the stress of work, you will have it. And it's not a matter of will I, won't I, but it's just a matter of time. When am I going to snap and break? And then again, when we do, we feel guilty and the cycle repeats itself. So we want to set our environment up so that the decision which we want to make, which moves ourselves forwards, is obvious and something in which we can do easily. James Clear talks about this a lot inside Atomic Habits, his book. So practically, here is what to do if you find yourself slipping up every single weekend and you are sick of that self-sabotaging cycle. Stop trying to be perfect Monday through to Thursday, because it backfires and you know it. Start planning so you've got some form of structure, routine, and predictability with your weekends. And let's make sure that if there is an event coming up, that we are planning for that and we've got that flexibility in place because of the good decisions and buffers we've now made with your food choices and with your exercise before you even go to the event. And most importantly, let's remove the start again on Monday style mindset. It's damaging and it promotes the all or nothing perfectionism, on and off the wagon style thinking, which has been keeping you stuck for so long. Honestly, the life aligned blueprint, the freedom within framework, and the environment by design structures in which we give our clients have been game changers for my ones who like to have a life, go out on the weekend, but they still don't want to sacrifice the hard work in which they've been putting in on the weekday. Now, if you want to explore some of these constructs in even more depth and detail, just go ahead and DM me the number 3 on my Instagram channel. We can have a back and forth about how inserting some of these into your week might be the very thing which has been missing for you, and exactly what the process looks like in order for you to have a fantastic social life with a killer physique to match. I'll see you in the next video. Hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already, and I'll talk to you soon.